Welcome to an investigation of the macabre, where we discuss true crime mysteries. I'm Andrew, your guide through this tale, and today we'll be talking about the mysterious Elsinore Castle Massacre. This story is filled with spying, revenge, and potentially even ghosts, so you're in for a good one. I am joined here today with our special guest and forensic pathologist, Morgan Whiteman.
Let's get started.
We're excited to have Morgan Whiteman, a forensic pathologist who works at Neomed Medical University. He is going to share his expertise on pathology, anatomy, and in reading an autopsy report. Hi, Morgan, and welcome to an investigation of the macabre.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
So, to begin, before the dreaded massacre took place, there were 3 preemptive deaths. These were the mysterious deaths of King Hamlet of Denmark, Polonius, and Ophelia, Polonius's daughter. Polonius was the chief counselor to Claudius, the brother of King Hamlet, who took the throne after his untimely demise. Chronologically, King Hamlet was the first to die. At the time of his death, little was known about the circumstances surrounding it. The king was a feared warrior and was loved by many. He and his wife Gertrude were allegedly very happy before his passing, and their marriage was going well. They had a son named after his father. It was unexpected when he passed, but almost more unexpected when his brother Claudius married his widow Gertrude.
Ugh, that's a little concerning. He married his dead brother's wife? Talk about family drama.
I know, right? King Hamlet's son thought so too. Even worse, the wedding came very soon after the funeral. Although no one knows the exact time span from the death of King Hamlet to the wedding of King Claudius and Gertrude, Hamlet, the son, reportedly claimed that it was but 2 months dead, nay, not so much, not 2. Although this time span seems the most accurate, Hamlet was in fact grieving, and in a bad headspace. This combined with the varying timeline Hamlet gives, makes this information a bit imprecise. Continuing with that, it is reported that the old king died of a mysterious illness.
Sounds suspicious to me.
It was. It caused horrible leprous sores all over his body and severe blood clotting. There was a lot of controversy at the time about it. However, the royals assured that nothing was amiss. Yet, there are stories that Prince Hamlet had possibly seen his father's ghost. Allegedly, the ghost told his son about how he actually died, which was not in fact a mysterious natural death, but murder. The ghost told him that his own brother, Claudius, murdered him via poison. He also made Hamlet promise to avenge his death by killing Claudius, but not his wife Gertrude. This is a overall common myth, so it is rather unlikely. However, apparently originated from a key eyewitness to the slayings, which we will bring up later.
I, for one, am skeptical. When a person is poisoned, the effects of the toxins can vary greatly. With some, the substances cause inflammation rashes, others, comas and vomiting. Sadly, the king faced death, which could have been either illness or poison.
Next, it got especially eerie after the death of Polonius, the new king's head advisor.
How'd he die?
Get this, he was stabbed to death by the prince, right in the chest through a tapestry, his last words being, quote, "Oh, I am slain." No one knows why he did it. And even better, the prince never faced any real consequences.
Huh. It must have punctured his heart or a major blood vessel then. It would take only 5 minutes after that for him to bleed out. He must have passed out from hypovolemic shock. How come he never faced any repercussions?
Oh, you know, royalty are like that. Always doing wrong and never seeing the other end of the stick.
You can say that again.
And that's not even the saddest reality. After his death, his daughter Ophelia lost her mind. Ophelia and Prince Hamlet were once in love. However, Hamlet broke off the romance in a most painful way. After Ophelia told him that he made her believe he loved her, he said, reportedly, "You should not have believed me, for virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not." Now that we've covered that, it's time for the real meat of this story. It was a cold night, overall calm, but tensions were high. Fortinbras, the grandson of the King of Norway, was looking to invade the palace and take the throne. Polonius' son, Laertes, was back in town from France after the death of his father. It is reported that Laertes led a short-lived rebellion against the king, believing that he was responsible for the death of his father. However, this rebellion was cut short, and a mysterious plot was hatched. The Prince Hamlet was returning from a trip to England after his criminal actions caused the death of Polonius. He was sent there by the king, for whatever reason, but was intercepted by pirates on the voyage. Now this is where it gets serious.
This is getting interesting.
Records show that the king, Claudius, and Laertes began plotting to kill the prince upon his return from England. Their plan came in 3 steps. 1. Understanding the prince's hubris and pride, they challenged him to a fencing match between him and Laertes. Money was placed on both of their heads in a bet. Laertes' sword would be secretly a real one, while Hamlet was stuck with a blunted tip. And 2. The tip of Laertes' sword would be laced with a potent poison that would kill a person in minutes. And 3. A victory chalice was prepared, laced with the same poison that they would get Hamlet to drink upon the chance that both other plans had failed.
This plan seems very, very convoluted. If the poison was so potent, why didn't they just stick with the cup idea?
No idea. However, the plan continued, and the match was staged. The prince accepted, the swords were tampered with, and the duel began. The whole royal court was to witness this grand event, including, most importantly, the king, Claudius, the queen, Gertrude, and Hamlet's best friend, Horatio.
Geez, got an audience, huh?
Yeah, for an event so gruesome to come. The first round was swift, Hamlet scoring the first point. The second round, Hamlet scored again. Taking a break and seeing that their plan was almost lost, the chalice was offered to Hamlet. However, he denied this, and Gertrude took it instead.
Wait, no, wouldn't that mean that she drank the poison?
Correct. However, we're not done yet. In the third round, Hamlet was struck, being sliced by the real sword used by Laertes. In a rage, Hamlet struck back, knocking Laertes' sword from his hand. They fought, grappling, eventually picking up their swords once more. However, the swords were switched in the chaos, and Hamlet sliced Laertes in the shoulder.
So there's where it all goes wrong.
Yep, it gets rough from here. Eyewitness testimony states that the queen suddenly collapses, exclaiming, "No, no, the drink, the drink. Oh, my dear Hamlet, the drink, I am poisoned," then succumbing to the venomous ichor.
Wow, what a quick and sudden death. Although it seems that the type of poison used is rather unknown, it certainly worked quick. Although by the witness description, much less painful than the king's. This poison, in contrast to the physical ailments the first poison caused, is rather a silent killer. It kills its victims fast, with no outward symptoms.
Oh, it only gets worse from here. Now, with both Hamlet and Laertes being wounded with the poisoned tip of their own swords, Laertes knows his time is almost up. He shouts to Hamlet, the king's to blame. Now, we don't know if this was from guilt, spite, or just painful delirium, but this ignited a fury in the prince, who charged at the king, stabbing him with the same sword meant to kill himself. He took the cup and poured the remaining contents into the king's open mouth, finally killing the king. With that, Laertes says his last words. "He is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself. Exchange forgivenesses with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon thee, nor thine on me." With this last forgiveness, he dies. We don't know much about the time between the final moments and the death of Hamlet. However, we do know about the arrival of Fortinbras. Fortinbras arrived before the death of Hamlet to take the throne once and for all. Little did he know he wouldn't have much of a battle. Hamlet's last word before his death is such: "On Fortinbras, he has my dying voice, so tell him, with the occurrence, more and less, which have solicited, the rest is silence." Hamlet tells the only surviving witness to all of the events aforementioned, and the witness to this mythical ghost story, that Fortinbras has his dying voice, or the right to be the new king of Denmark. This witness is Horatio, a close friend and confidant to the prince. Horatio's accounts are some of the most detailed and factually available on the massacre.
Wow, this took a turn for the worse. Let's take a quick look at the autopsies from this fateful night. All the autopsies from this event are clearly very, very old. Thus, the specific poisons used are unknown, as well as the exact time of death. However, with poisons there are generally 2 types of reactions: local and systemic. With local affecting poisons, symptoms typically include hives, rashes, while systemic reactions include vomiting, paralysis, and often cardiac arrest. Many times, systemic reactions lead to the well-known symptom, death. With the lack of time of deaths in the autopsy reports, it's hard to decipher the length of time in between each death, and thus the amount of time the poison takes to act. However, I can derive from these that while the poison takes varying amounts of times, the depth and means of consuming the poisons affect the results significantly. In the case of Laertes, his autopsy shows a much more deep wound of contact than Hamlet, and thus Laertes died a good deal before Hamlet did. Not only was the king stabbed, seemingly through the ribs according to the autopsy report, puncturing his heart, lungs, or a major blood vessel in the process. The poison from the blade punctured deep into his body, hastening his demise. The cup would have just been an afterthought, since the king was most likely already dying by the time the concoction would hit his stomach and enter his bloodstream. Then finally, Hamlet, only nicked by the poisoned sword. His report states that the incision, although small, let the poison enter the bloodstream. This cut was not nearly as deep as Laertes or Claudius's, allowed Hamlet to live much longer than his poisoned counterparts.
In the end, little is known about that fateful night, where many died, but only one survived, the night the royalty of Denmark perished.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to Andrew for letting me join in that morbid discussion of the Elsinore Castle massacre.
If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to come back next week for the discussion of the tragic suicides of Romeo and Juliet. Until then, this is Andrew.
And this is Morgan.
And thanks for listening to an investigation of the macabre. This podcast was created by Andrew Roshong and Morgan Whiteman. It was produced and recorded by Andrew Roshong, researched by Morgan Whiteman, and edited by Morgan Whiteman. An investigation of the macabre is a product of Morbid Studios.